Good afternoon, guys, and I'm glad you could join me. This is sort of new to me, so we're going to see how this goes, but I've been blessed with the opportunity to teach you about something the Lord showed me about from the garden to from Gethsemane to Calvary. And I've always prayed, that when God shows me things, sometimes that He'll show me through His eyes, which is not a pretty thing sometimes, and it's not a comfortable thing. But I started studying this a few years ago, and I asked Him, God, show me a different viewpoint of the road to Calvary. And I believe He did. And I'd like to share that with you. It's going to be in a couple different lessons today and tomorrow, possibly one more day. So, if you will, turn with me to Luke. Sorry, I got to open this up. Luke chapter 22. And this is going to go from Luke all the way to when He dies on Calvary. Luke chapter 22 through verses 46 through 53 through chapter 23. But God is, the road to revelation, and from the garden to the cross. And, to have something revealed to you is revelation. And when you have a revelation about yourself or about, stuff in the Bible, it can really open your eyes. And it can be life-changing. And I pray that this is life-changing. And that maybe you see yourself through Jesus' eyes. And that maybe this initiates some more change and more growth in your life. So I'm going to pray right quick. Father God, I thank You for Your word. Lord, I thank You for the opportunity to be able to deliver Your word. Lord, we're living in uncertain times right now. God, please watch over everyone. Keep them safe. Keep them well. God, the people who are sick, God, I ask You to heal their bodies supernaturally. God, and Lord, I ask You to use this whole situation for Your glory and Your honor and Your praise. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. And I was going to teach this Sunday, but Jason told you I had allergies, and I did. I couldn't talk that great. And I'm a little better today, so I hope I do okay. But I know when I think of having a revelation, I think of the song Amazing Grace. I once was blind, but now I see. So, as we go from the garden to the cross and we meet the people that Jesus met as He faced them in trial or just passed by on the road to Calvary, I'm going to show you how some of these people represent the church, represent people in the church. So let's read Luke 22, verses 46 through 53. Okay, this is when they're coming to the garden to arrest Jesus. He said, the disciples are supposed to be praying with Him, they're not. And He says to them, why do you sleep? Rise and pray, lest you enter into temptation. And while He was still speaking, behold, a multitude, and he who was called Judas, one of the 12, went before them and drew near to Jesus to kiss Him. And Jesus said, Judas, are you betraying the Son of Man with a kiss? When those around Him saw what was going to happen, they said to Him, Lord, shall we strike with a sword? And one of them struck the servant of the high priest and cut off his right ear. But Jesus answered and said, permit even this. And He touched his ear and healed him. Then Jesus said to the chief priests, captains of the temple, and elders who had come to Him, have you come out as against a robber with swords and clubs? When I was with you daily in the temple, you did not try to seize me, but this is your hour and the power and the power of darkness. So, a disciple, a beloved disciple, Judas portrays him with a kiss. And sometimes we can be Judas. We portray God how? Well, anything that exalts itself above God is an idol. Judas betrayed him for 30 pieces of silver. And we can betray him for any number of things. It can be money. It can be deciding to go fishing instead of spending time in the house of God. Or maybe it's, missing the next episode or whatever is popular on TV, not wanting to miss it, deciding, instead of recording on DVR, is, watching it on live instead of going to the house of God. Because I guarantee you, a couple of weeks ago, you didn't think that would be your last opportunity to spend time in the house of God with people who believe the same as you, that you were going to have to be doing this live on TV and separated at a distance. And, we really honestly don't know when we're going to get to come together again. So, a disciple tries to defend him, but he tries to defend him the wrong way with a sword, and he cuts off the servant of one of the Jewish courts here. We did the same thing. We try to defend him the wrong way, and what we need to show is love and mercy. Let God work on the sin. He doesn't need us to point them out to him. And most of the time, the person that's sinning doesn't need us to point their sin out to them. Sorry, my hair broke. But it's been my experience when a sinner is surrounded by people who love them, because you can hate the sin and love the sinner. They are drawn to repentance. If you go to John 18:6, it says, when they ask, if he's Jesus, he says, I am he. He says they all fell to the ground. Even then it was evident he was who he said he was. We would think that it would be, but we do the same thing. And God shows up and he shows us he's the real deal. He's the King of Kings. He's the Lord of Lords. But we continue to deny who he is, trying to be in our lives and who he's supposed to be in our lives. This wasn't the Roman guard that came to arrest Jesus. This was the court guard. This was the Jewish guard. They knew the word. There's power in his name. And so when the enemy comes against you, speak his name. Jesus goes with the guard without a fight. And the disciples flee, as Jesus said in Luke 54-60. He's brought to the high priest. It's chapter 22, 54-60. It says, having arrested him, they led him and brought him to the high priest's house. But Peter followed at a distance. And when they had kindled a fire in the midst of the courtyard and sat down together, Peter sat among them. And a certain servant girl, seeing him as he sat by the fire, looked intently at him and said, this man was also with him. But he denied him, saying, Woman, I do not know him. And after a little while, another saw him and said, You also are of them. But Peter said, Man, I am not. Then after about an hour, the fast another confidently affirmed, saying, Surely this fellow also was with them, for he is a Galilean. But Peter said, Man, I do not know what you were saying. Immediately he was still speaking, and the rooster crowed. Verse 61 says, And the Lord turned and looked at Peter. Then Peter remembered the word of the Lord, how he had said to him, Before the rooster crows, you will deny me 3 times. So Peter went out and wept bitterly. I think we've all been at the place that Peter's been at. And Peter didn't get where he got just instantly. There was a series of things that happened. Fear. We had fear. Probably discouragement. because, they didn't understand that Jesus had to be crucified yet. A lot of Jews believed that he would return triumphantly and, defeat the Romans and be their king. And that's not how it happened. He came in like a lamb, and he laid his life down like a lamb. And, this is Peter went and went, but this wasn't the end for Peter. Because remember, God told him, he said, upon this rock I'll build my church. And the gates of hell shall not prevail against it. Peter has a comeback, but, that's for another lesson about Peter's comeback. We may deny God knowing deep down who he is or who he says he is, but it's time for your comeback. And a lot of times we say, I don't know how I got here, God. I don't know how I got to the place I'm at where don't want to read the Bible. I don't want to go to church. I'm just not interested in your word. You do it little by little, step by step. We're in situations every day where we want to deny God, where people are, it's you don't want to deny God, but sometimes when we're not mature in the faith and we're growing in the Lord, it's hard. We have to weigh a decision. Do we want people to know that we're Christians, that we believe, and risk being persecuted, or do we want them to know who we say we are? And the answer is you want them to know who you say you are, and that if you're not at that place, find somebody. I used to say, find somebody you want to be like when you grow up, but find somebody you want to be like as a Christian as you grow up, as a mature Christian that you want to be like, and ask them to mentor you. Surround yourself with people like that. They're the ones that will strengthen you and help you grow in the Lord. And when that time comes and you have to make the decision where you say, yes, I believe in God, or no, I don't, you'll be able to confidently say, yes, I am a Christian. I do believe in God. Even in the face of fear and danger, it's time for your comeback, and you will do greater things than you ever imagined for God. They blindfold Jesus. They mocked and they beat him because of who he was. The Jewish people let religion replace relationship. A lot like the church now. He fulfilled all the prophecies, but Jesus was, how'd I put it? Jesus was a threat to the high priesthood because they believed that they were the go-between between the Jewish people and God. Jesus came on the scene and he was the Messiah, and there was no need for the high priest. And I think he was a threat. He was a threat to them, and they did not like it, at all. And I want to go with you to Luke 23, verse 1. It says, then the whole multitude of them arose and led him to Pilate. Pilate knew Jesus was innocent. If you would keep reading on down, Pilate's wife has a dream, and she warns him and says, don't do anything with this man. Don't do anything with Jesus. And he thinks he has a way out. Jesus was from Galilee, and Herod was governor of Galilee. Well, Herod happened to be in town, so he sent Jesus to him. Have you ever been in a situation where the right thing to do was maybe the wrong thing to do in other people or society's eyes? Alternative lifestyles, religious tolerance. The list could go on forever. There's a never-ending list. But he's sent to Herod anyway. Well, see, when he gets to Herod, Herod's hoping to see a miracle. And instead, Jesus is accused. And Jesus doesn't perform for him. He doesn't even answer him. So this makes Herod very angry. And when Jesus doesn't act the way he thinks he should act, or he becomes angry and treats him with contempt and he mocks him. How many of us are like that? How many times do we go to church and we don't think the service is the way we think it should be, or we don't think Jesus shows up the way he should show up, or we don't get the word we think we should get, and we get angry with him, and we treat him with contempt, and we even mock him by our behavior, by our words. And so, it says from that point on, verse 23, 12 says, Herod and Pilate had become good friends, but for previously they had been in enmity with each other. And I know that I spoke fast, and I would like for you to read, if you can, Luke chapter 23, 22, all the way up to the crucifixion. And I'm going to finish the rest probably tomorrow. And then I'm going to bring out how each of these people we encounter as I'm teaching, or maybe something we've been before, or we're in danger of being. And I hope for a minute we get a glimpse of, not saying we could ever know what Jesus saw or what he felt through his eyes, but I like to ask Jesus to show me things as he would see them, and that maybe we can see, that day as he saw it, and a glimpse of it at least. And I pray for your health. I pray for your safety. I want you to be blessed. Have a great day.